Hello, welcome back to Bald and Board Games. I'm Bald.
I'm bored.
And we are bringing you a rulebook rundown of TacTile by Friendly Bee Company Games.
Yeah, very simplistic game here that we'll walk you through. It's a lot of strategy, but you have 5 actions every turn. You just go back and forth, you do your actions, and whoever is the most tactile with their actions.
Struggling. Not like Steve's words.
Yeah, words aren't like that. Whoever does the best wins.
Yeah. But this rulebook is very skinny. It's a very simple game to learn, which is great. Very easy to get to the table. Very fun to play every time, and it is completely random, which is great. So, while we do know, Mr. Bugby, we will be just as honest and or harsh as we are with everyone else when it comes to reading the rulebook and everything else regarding the game. So, no favorites.
Nope.
There we go. Ready? All right, so we have the components list here to start off. So 36 tiles. We have all those in the bag. 120 action cards. We have those right over here. Our 8-player discs. We have all of those. The 64 resources. We have everything here of each of those types. The 4 reference cards we have over there. And the 8 basic action cubes we don't have. Those didn't come in the box. I'm sure for those, if you're in a similar situation, we may be a fluke. I'm sure you can just reach out to Friendly Bee Company Games for any replacements like most games. Unfortunately for me, this validates Steve's obsession with counting every single component when games come in. I just assume they're always there, and then I find out as planned, like, wait a minute, what the hell? We actually had the same situation with Dungeon Cart. We have Dungeon Cart, and when playing that, we had 2 of the white die. We had no black speed strip die, so I had to reach out to them. They are sending a replacement at some point for us for that.
Nice. Yeah, I get judged so hard. He's like, why are you counting everything? And I'm like, one of these days, and it's multiple days now.
I was like, your OCD is killing me. Like, oh, nope, not. All right, so setup is pretty simple. I'm going to move this off the screen so Steve can just have to read through it. Each player selects a color, collecting their basic action cubes, player discs, and reference cards. So player discs, basic action cubes, things we don't have. Then reference card is this thing here. Boom, it has some reference on the back for actions. And on front, these are actions you can do, which we'll explain in a moment. Step 2, place the 4 black-edged home tiles, these that Steve just did, or Board just did, in the 4 corner positions of the 6x6 square grid closest to each matching player. So I'm red, he's yellow. Shuffle the 32 remaining tiles and place them randomly to complete the 6x6 grid.
Yep. You want to do this one by one, so you pick a starting spot. So if we pick yellow, we'll just literally go column by column across.
Yep.
So in this case, we'll fill in 4, and then 6, 6, 6, 6, and then down to 4 again.
Yep.
2, 3, 4.
Green realm.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Nice.
5. In theory, you could play with the other side. It doesn't matter if you remember just what symbols and what thing.
Yeah.
It's always the same. Yellow is always the little cross. Yep. It's like a PlayStation controller, unfortunately.
Almost.
You were like smiled, and then you're like, oh.
This would be triangle. Yellow's not even on the controller.
No, I mean symbols. There's a plus. You have a plus sign.
It's an X.
Yeah. Now it's an X. Where are the reds in here? There we go.
There it is, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Heavy blue down here.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And so the game's going to be different every single time you do this. I don't even know what the math would be for how many different potential combinations there would be when it comes to tiles and rows in this setup. I'm sure Friendly Bee Company's done the math, but there's probably more than you will ever see playing your game. So the likelihood of you playing this and having the same setup is very unlikely. This last one. Nice. Straighten out.
Wow.
Jesus.
A little red zigzag. So now that this bag is empty, the bag can just sit off to the side. You won't use this bag again. So once the tiles are down for that whole game, this is the setup. You never reshuffle the tiles or anything like that. Oh, that would be a fun variant.
Well, I was just
where
thinking
like
about
one of your actions could be to like swap 2 tiles on the
well,
map?
Well, so there's a game, a very old game that's being remade by Awakened Realms called Labyrinth.
Mm-hmm.
Where that would be an interesting variant. It'd be the Labyrinth variant, I would call it. To where one of the skills could be to you would take a tile like this, and you would literally
slide the row,
shift it down the row, and you'd push it all.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that'd be very, very cool. Okay.
All right, what's next in setup?
Simon OCD's kicking in here. Boom, boom, boom. Make sure that's straight for camera for y'all. Good enough. Okay.
I definitely need to get smacked.
All players place both discs in their home tiles, as we just did. In the 2-player game, choose positions diagonal from each other, as we are. Shuffle the 120 action cards and deal 6 face up to create a card market.
We will
the rest
do that.
become the draw.
Right here, we should have a perfect...
We can shift this over a little bit more to do that as well if we'd like. Boop, right about there.
Boom, boom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Perfect.
So, this will create a scenario. So we'll wait until Nick reads that off.
Yeah, so I'm moving this over here because we're going to jump into a gameplay after we get through this rulebook rundown. But that'll be live. There we go. Here's some room. Oh, interesting. Okay. Separate the resources, creating 4 piles, easy reach for all players. We have those off screen over here to the left. First player in TacTile is the player with the most colors on their t-shirt. We are wearing the same exact t-shirt, so we'll roll a die. And then turn order, game proceeds to the left, so clockwise. Easy enough. There you go.
All right. So, did it not tell us?
Not right there.
Thing? It did not.
It might tell us afterwards.
I hope it does. That's not part of the rules. So, objective. So, the objective of this game is to be the first to score both of your discs.
Thank you, my dear. Bombastic, everybody.
It's an empty cup.
It's a very hot empty
It's
cup.
very clearly full.
I don't know how you can easily tell that difference unless you're holding it upside down. And then it'd be empty twice. One's on the floor.
Just like the Dark City games.
Yeah. Yeah, so your objective is to score your 2 discs first. So obviously I have 2 yellow discs, Nick has 2 red discs.
Yep.
Once a disc moves onto a score tile, it is scored and out of the game. So it's definitely part of your strategy is don't score it too early or you only have 1 disc left to use. Once you score your last disc, the game ends and you win immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So this shows here you have 2-player, 3-player, 4-player. Each one plays a little differently. So for 2-player, it is called a showdown victory. Your score tile is the home tile diagonal to your home tile. So in this case, I need to get both of my discs into the red. He needs to get both of his into the yellow. So that is only for a 2-player game. That's how it works. You just got to move diagonally. And you don't have to just go this way. You could go like all the way over. I just can't enter either of these 2 black rim tiles. There is also on here a 3-player, and it shows how to score for that one, and a 4-player and how to score for that one. So if you're playing either of those game modes, make sure you read it appropriately.
That's a good question too, which maybe it'll clarify in the rulebook. I don't know if we ever asked, but because these have the same markings as these blue, when they're not being used, would they just count as another blue?
Oh, that's a good question.
Or when you get your thing, like when I get mine onto the yellow, does that yellow count as yellow space to activate a yellow thing? We'll see.
Once this moves on to its, it says as soon as it moves onto, it's out of the game.
Okay.
So I would assume it moves on and like you don't get it because it's no longer in the game.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
All right, so here's your actions. So again, you have this little action card here. Let's leave this right in the center for you. So on your turn, you may perform up to 2 of these 5 actions. You cannot do the same action twice. That's what the cubes are supposed to be for, to mark out that you've already done that one.
Mm-hmm.
And the benefit here is, and it's going to go through this, I know, you don't have to do them in any specific order. So you don't have to go like top to bottom or anything. You just pick 2 and do them that way. So here they are. So move. The very first thing is move. So I'm going to start here. So I'm going to decide, hey, I want to move. You take one of your 2 discs only and move it 1 space to the left or to the right. It can be up, down, left, right, no diagonal. Disc cannot share tiles. So I can't move this one onto that one. I would have to move this in a different direction or wait until that one's moved farther. Nice. You cannot move onto home tiles that are not yours.
There it is.
There we go. So that confirms that you cannot use the black rim tiles. And that's as simple as the move action is. So it's move 1 disc once. The gain action, gain a resource based on the tile your disc is on. So right now, if I did my move action, I wanted to gain, I would gain 1 green resource. That would just come over here into my supply of resources. There is no max that you can have, but there's a max amount of resources available. Yep. So once you run out, you don't have any more of that color, but there's no limit to your hand size per se of what your resources are.
Highly unlikely in a 2-player game that will run out.
You cannot gain a resource on the home tiles.
Perfect.
The third thing is to buy. So buying is this whole marketplace over here. So if you have the resources available, so let's say I have 2 green resources, I can say I want to buy. I trade in the 2 green resources, I take a card.
And some COVID.
And die. So you draw, so I drew the card, took it, it's now mine. This just sits in front of me, face up, for all players to see. Nice, okay. As soon as that's done, it refills with another card. Perfect. And what the color of the card is does not matter for the buy action. The buy action just matters the resources on the bottom.
Yep.
So that's all that matters for this buy set. Swap. Swap a resource you own for another resource. So it's as simple as that. If I have a green and I know that, hey, I want this blue push action, I want to get a blue. So I just say swap, I put the green back, and I take a blue. It's as simple as that. In a 4-player mode, there is a variant. It does show that here, where you can actually swap cards with your teammate. But we're not going to cover that since this is a 2-player rulebook rundown.
Yeah, we're going to kick some butt.
And the very final thing is reset. And that is reset the card market. So you take all 6 cards that are here, you pull them out of the game into a discard pile, you deal 6 new cards out. Again, it can be done in any order. So, for example, if you looked at this and you're like, this doesn't really help, you can do a reset and then do a buy action if you had resources to buy one of the new cards. Automatic reset. Here we go. So if there are ever 5 or more cards for sale that match one of these scenarios, they're either the same color, meaning the color of the actual card, or the same type, meaning the verbiage, so in this case 5 pushes and 5 reds, you would automatically reset the entire market and gain and redeal 6 new cards. If it does the same thing again, you would do it again and again until you have a new thing. If you ever run out, you just reshuffle and deal.
Yep. Yeah, so I'm over here just shuffling the cards to make sure these are very shuffled so we don't run into that situation at the beginning, hopefully again.
Yep. And then the last thing to go over is just kind of an action set. So I'll let Nick go as I throw the rule book. We'll let Nick go over that. Have those here for the fun of it.
Oh, you're just straight up taking cards now, are we? Refilling this thing. You just God damn it.
That worked.
This is not part of the game what Steve is doing right now.
No. But this will make it more informative for you in our rulebook rundown.
Yeah, there we go. All right. So we're on the action cards.
Action, yep.
Okay. So action cards are the permanent upgrades that can give a free action once per turn after being activated. So on the action card, you have the action type, which is the name of the card. Good. So that's a gain, move, push. The action symbols and color identifiers. So those are in the very middle. And then the resource cost at the bottom. So moving on to a tile activates all action cards you own of that tile's color. And so, for example, if Steve were to move on to green, all of his green cards would become active. Action cards can only be activated once per turn and refresh at the start of your next turn. Using an action is optional. After activation, action cards stay active until they are used or your turn ends. All activated action cards and basic actions can be resolved in any order.
Yes. So for our stream, so you'll see it easily, when a card becomes active, so I just moved on to green. So I did a move action. Let's say it was my first action. So I did a move action. I move here. We'll just have that card a little bit higher than the rest to show it's active, but it has not been used. It's just active.
Correct. There are 3 types of action cards. There is the move card. So move one of your discs to an adjacent open tile. This move can activate other action cards. There's the gain action, so gain a resource from a tile one of your discs is currently on. So it does not have to be the one that just moved on. So for instance here, board moved here, activating his gain card here. If he used that, he could use this to get a blue resource because that disc is there. Then there's push. Push another player's disc onto an adjacent open tile. So pushes can be up, down, left, or right, no diagonals. You can't push discs onto home score tiles, so you can't push them back onto a home score tile or anyone else's. And pushing discs does not activate action cards. Helpful tip: keep track of your action cards, laying them in a horizontal line. Advance activated action cards and twist them once action has been used. Alrighty. Then it goes through an example of how they could be used in multiple ways, which you can do.
Yep.
And that is literally it. There's additional resources, credits, and stuff on the back of the book.
So we're just going to give a quick example here that'll show you all three of these different variants, or the different card types. So if these are my starting tiles, let's say Nick is starting there and there.
Nope.
It's my turn. So I have 2 actions, again, based on this little card here.
Yep.
So I'm going to do a move action. That's going to be my first thing. I'm going to take the blue. I'm going to move it right there. So that makes these 2 active because I am now on a yellow tile.
Yep.
This is on a green tile. This is not active because I didn't move onto the green tile this turn. It has to be the turn it happens. So now, I still have a second action available. I cannot do the move action again. The move action is now complete. But I can do other things. So what I decide I want to do is first utilize my move card. So I turn that sideways. I will move this onto the red. That makes the red card active. So now all 3 of these are active. This has been utilized. That's why it's sideways. I can't use the move again. So now I'll look and I'm like, okay, what do I want to do? Well, I can gain. Well, the reason I did that is I want to gain a red resource. I can't utilize this until I was on the red space. So I had to do the move first.
Well, he could have utilized it, but he wouldn't have gotten a red.
Correct.
He would have gotten a green one or a yellow one.
Yeah. But if I specifically wanted red, because 3 of these have red in it, and I'm like, oh, that could be useful, I want to do that.
Yep.
Now I look at the rest of the board, and I know that I'm trying to get diagonally over there, and I know maybe that Nick has some things in mind, so I'm going to push Nick back. So I don't have to necessarily push this one back because it's the furthest. I can actually push this one this way.
Yeah, push does not mean in a specific direction closer to home. It's literally just moving your opponent's action disc.
One space any direction.
One space any direction, in whichever way will most benefit you or hurt them.
Yep.
You decide.
And now, based on where I'm at, that was still only my first action. So all of that was one action based on the move. I'm looking to get this gain card. I have 1 red resource. I can do my second action, which is a gain, and gain a yellow resource because I'm on a yellow tile. I cannot buy that card because I have completed my 2 actions. I have to wait to next round to buy that card.
Yep, and that is where I would most likely try to hate draft that card if I could.
Or reset.
Or reset, something like that. Word of note about push, okay? So when moving on your turn, when moving to a tile like just happened here and all those cards are activated, that is correct. But when Steve pushed me to a tile, if I had yellow cards, they would not activate. Cards only activate on your turn when your disc is moved.
And you can only push your opponent's tiles in a 2-player game. You cannot push yours, so I couldn't push this one here to gain the green card.
He would have had to have a move card to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, so the move is the offensive movement. The push is a defensive retreat. And then gain is just gain resources. And it's simple as that. So you'll do this back and forth over and over, gaining more and more cards as you do. So you could get a scenario where you have like 8 cards, and you kind of trigger a bunch of them all with one action. And as soon as 2 of these discs make it to the other side, the game is over.
Yep. That's it. All right, so there's a 2-player variant here called Overdrive that the team over at Friendly Bee Games thought of right before the official final release of this. And so you can exhaust 2 available actions for a free action of your choice. So available actions, activated unexhausted action cards or unused basic actions. So it says available actions. It says activated unexhausted action cards or unused basic actions. So you can use 2 of those activated cards to do a free move, gain, push, swap, buy, or reset. Anything on that card. But that's really it. So if there's something that you really want to do, but you don't have an avenue to do it, or say you had a bunch of these cards and they weren't really useful for you in the moment that you were, you could use 2 of those to do another one of those free actions.
Yeah. So perfect example based on this current board. If I was set up right here and I'm trying to get over there, well, my green cards aren't going to do anything. There's green all the way over here, all the way over there. I'm trying to get to red. So I don't really need this card ever again. So I could utilize something like that if I had 2 of these and just be like, oh, I'm going to exhaust both of these to get another move or
that
a swap.
Yeah, that would have been if you moved through green. Because they have to be activated.
Oh, true. They have to be available first.
Yeah.
And then I could do that. Yeah. So, perfect. Okay, let's say I was on green. Let's say this one was on green. And I activated these 2. That one I'm trying to get over there. I'm not going to go through any more green. So I can just boom, boom.
To do a move action to come here, which activates the other 2
Yeah.
yellows, which allows him to do his move, and then
Exactly.
allows him to do his push, and blah, 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 blah,
Yes.
blah. Combo.
But you will see all of that in our playthrough.
Yes, you will. So we do typically, when we get these kind of Kickstarter GameFound games in, we always do these unboxings and we do these rulebook rundowns and stuff. We also do a playthrough. With the playthroughs, we do live on Twitch. So if you haven't joined us, definitely join us there. These are always recorded and streamed on Saturdays or Thursdays, if we say otherwise. We try to keep it for Saturdays, and we usually do it around 1 p.m. So definitely join us on Twitch. Live, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, not specific Standard Time. And come chat with us, see some new games. And, you know, sometimes we end up doing like we're doing right now today. We're doing a triple header live on Twitch. So you'll see those up on YouTube later in the weeks.
Yeah. So definitely join us for TacTile. Check out that video. And yeah, what our triple header, we also have Canvas coming up. So we will both become artistes.
Yep.
And we'll have some other stuff in our Just for Fun category today.
Yeah, just for fun. Alrighty. Well, thank you all for joining us here at Bald and Board Games. We gave you the rulebook rundown of TacTile by Friendly Bee Company Games. I'm Bald.
On board.
We'll see you at the table.